grab. Isn't it crazy to think about like us here at 30, or I don't know how old Jeff is, like 13 or whatever, but we're 30 and being a captain means something so much different now than when we were kids. Like you thought in minor hockey, it's usually your best player, like in Pee Wee and stuff like that. It's just your best player, the coach's son or whatever it is. And then, but you get a little older and you start to realize what a leader is. And some guys are and some guys aren't, and that's fine, right? Because that's what makes the dynamic of a team so interesting. But you have this like, I want to be the captain, because I remember playing for the Max, man. That's all I wanted. I don't know why I wanted it, just to be captain. Yeah. But once I wasn't, I'm not like sucky about it. I was like, I tried and I didn't get it, but you get an A still, so that's cool. But it's just like it meant so much different. You were like, I'm the best player, like on our team. I'm the captain. And now you see guys, and then you get older, and the grizzled vet on your junior team is just this guy that mucks pucks and like he eats pucks for a living and he's just hitting. He's got like 4 points all year, but he's the captain because everybody respects him. And it's just a completely different mindset once you pass like 17 or 18, Yeah. It's wild. Like Q teams, their best players with the most points don't even have letters. And you're as a kid, you're going, what? Like, why isn't he the captain? He's the best player in the league, Yeah. But then you do have the guys like McDavid and stuff who are a rare breed that are clearly going to be the captain.
Yeah.
You can't not give him the captain. Yeah. Imagine if they didn't.
Yeah. Well, they didn't give it to Matthews.
Yeah, but Toronto's a different breed.
that was something else, man. Remember that big discussion, Matthews or Tavares, who was going to be captain?
That was a big thing.
And they gave it to Tavares.
My vote was Tavares.
Yeah, it was the right
Toronto
call.
Boy.
It was the right call. You can't give
How are we saying it's the right call? They haven't done anything.
Hey.
He could strip that C and give it to Matthews. Maybe that'll change the culture and they'll win a couple games. I mean, is there no point that like that? Like
I guess I'm biased because I love Canadians and I just love that Johnny's the C and he's Canadian, good old Canadian boy.
There's enough Canadian captains. There's no shortage.
He just has that. He got that grit. He's not that Matthews doesn't.
Do you want to know why Tavares is the captain? Because Tavares has been through the shit. Tavares has been through the ups and downs of a hockey team. He's been through being the top dog in the nation, being drafted. He was an underager in junior, and he tore up, and he was a first overall pick, and he was supposed to be the savior of the Islanders, and he persevered through that. They went back to New York, and he got booed every time, and he never once freaked out about it. He's been through the ringer, and that's why he's the captain. He had been in the league at least 10 years. He's an Ontario kid who very verbally and vocally was a Leafs fan as a kid once he was out of New York. You don't bring him in at $33 billion a year and not give him the captain. If Matthews, though, was in the league for a lot longer at that point, it would have been him, I think.
I just think it's such a commitment.
It is, but you're committed to him anyway.
You're gonna strip him and give it to Matthews when the time's right, because
that's the thing about the coaching and stuff, though. They can decide those things, right? Like if Keefe gets fired, then another coach comes in and doesn't see Tavares as the captain, then he can absolutely go Matthews as the captain now, right? That might change the culture, but I don't think switching a letter is gonna flip the switch for the Leafs at this point, to be honest with you. You
just talked about how important a captain was.
It is, but think about this. Johnny gets injured in playoffs, and he comes back, and the other thing about being in the NHL, and this is one thing that people don't see, is you have to be a community activist, like you do. And Matthews is a lot about fashion and being with Biebs and walking the runway and being at big events. But John Tavares is out at. I'm not saying Matthews isn't, but John Tavares is out at the hospitals and stuff like that. I'm not saying Matthews isn't, but Tavares has been doing these things as a professional for that amount of time, and he's the face of that.
Yeah,
I met him after the Olympics. Came to the hotel I worked at, shook his hand, looked me in the eye, had all the time in the day for me. Like didn't just I've shook an NHL guy's hands who just went, thanks man, just walked away from me. Johnny T walked into the lobby. He was probably 6 months after winning the gold medal. He got hurt actually. He didn't play that much. Remember that year back in 2010, I think?
Yeah. I think, was it 14 where he ran his leg into the post?
Yeah, it was that year.
Was that him or Stamkos?
No, it was Tavares.
Okay.
Stamkos did do that, but that was with Tampa, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, walked into the lobby. I looked him in his eyes. I said, hey, Johnny, congrats on the gold. Big fan of you. Welcome to the hotel. And he said, oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, because back then, you probably still do it now. You wear name tags. So mine just said Justin. He goes, oh, Justin, man, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Happy to bring one back for the team. And just like, all right, check you in right there. I'll take your bags up to the room. And he was just one of those guys. Because at the hotel, like all the NHL guys from Ontario came in to skate with Sid and Nate. There's some guys who just don't have the time of day for you. And there's some that just go, oh, no way. Another guy was Eric Johnson from Colorado.
Yeah.
All the time in the day for you. Just you know, he would be waiting
EJ.
for EJ. He'd be waiting for his car out front, and you know, he'd just be having his coffee. I'd be having my coffee too, to believe it or not, in uniform. And yeah, just like waiting out front all the time in the day. He's like, oh yeah, I actually used to play with at the Mooseheads right there down the street. And he goes, oh yeah, Nate talks about them all the time. You know, he's just one of those guys who's good people.
Who was that?
Eric Johnson.
Oh, EJ. That's what they call
EJ.
him in the biz.
In the biz.
In the biz.
Yeah.